Hi guys, it is Monday 4/13 and we are starting prefixes after doing suffixes and root words last week. Your warm-up is pretty straightforward. At this point, you are in the Google form, which I know is a little bit new. We've used them for exit tickets, but not for the whole classwork. I did this to try and problem solve some of the problems you guys were reporting to me and to try and make completing your ELA classwork easier. So even if it feels like a little bit uncomfy right now, please just text or call me if you need help, because I do believe that making this switch will help you in the longer term be able to complete ELA work with less headaches, with less questions, or at least less questions about technology. That being said, you should have already done your warm-up. Number one was, what do affixes do? At this point, we should be pretty clear that they are the building blocks, the puzzle pieces that create words that have Latin and Greek meanings and roots. And then what part of the word does a prefix attach to? This part's review. Prefixes go at the beginning. They attach to the beginning of a word. Once you fill that out and you hit next, you hit our practice section, which is where you hit play on this video. Our aim for today is Kipsters will be able to define and identify prefixes to understand words they read. Similar to last week, but now just working with prefixes. Our first set of prefixes, I'm just going to go through these super in depth. These are the only ones we're working with through the week, so this is going to be a little bit longer, but then you'll know them for the week. Abs. So all of these are a very similar prefix. It means from, away, or off, like abyss, achromatic, absent. And then I had an on-off switch. Prefix AC, AD, to, toward, near, accelerate, accessible, admitted. So I put footprints, moving towards something or being accessible or able to go near something. Anti meaning against or opposite of. So I have two arrows going opposite of each other. So antibiotics, antibodies, antiseptic, things that work against one another. So antiseptic is something that you would use to clean a cut or something like that. So it would work against the germs to keep you healthy. BIS, or DI, meaning two or twice. I talked about this in the notes last week when we were dissecting words, and it is review biannual, bilateral, dilemma, dichromatic. So dialogue, things just meaning two. So I put it looks like a peace sign, but two. Circum, meaning around or about. Circumnavigate, circumspect, circumference, so around a circle. Com or con, meaning together or with. Commemorate or concur. So I put a bunch of people holding hands in a circle, coming together, collaborating. DE, meaning reduce, away, down, remove. Decelerate, dethrone. So I put the recycling symbol because that makes me think of reduce, reuse, recycle, which has that re has a very similar meaning to the DE, meaning to reuse something or to make something smaller. And then I also put a trash can symbol because, to reduce or put it away or remove it, you delete it. If I'm put something in the forms that is a mistake, I drag it I actually choose a trash can symbol to delete it before you guys see it. DIS, DIF, DI. This is where DI can actually have two different meanings. Like I said before, can mean two, but it can also mean apart, away, or not, which I know might be confusing. So we have digression, disappear, dissect, different. So what's interesting is the word dissect uses that DI prefix. And if you're dissecting something, so say you're dissecting an animal in biology, you're pulling it apart, away, but then it is also kind of creating two different pieces in that dissection. And so that's where that that overlap occurs. I put puzzle pieces because you're pulling things apart that are pulled apart. So things that are apart or away, or just a circle with a line through it for the not or the negative side of those prefixes. DYS, meaning abnormal or bad, like dystopia, dysfunctional, something out of the ordinary, and then I put like a little weird creature for you to remember that one. Epi, meaning on, upon, over, at, like an epidemic, an epicenter. Epilogue, when you're reading, which is an at the end when it's over. Like a memory trick or a picture that I put for you is once upon a time, or just a sheep leaping over a fence, like how when you count them when you're falling asleep, maybe don't fall asleep in the middle of this. Almost done, guys. EQUI, equi, meaning like equal or equally, like equidistance, equation. I put a scales, just balancing things equally. EXE, from, meaning from or out, like excavate, evade, exhale, extract. And I put a keep out sign for you. Hyper, too much, excessive, or beyond. Hyperactive, hypertension, hypercritical. Hyper just means too much. Whereas hypo, the next one, means something that's under, something that's below, something that's lesser. So hyper and hypo are opposites of each other, essentially. So hyperactive, there's too much activity, right? Where hypo means less of, so hypoactive would mean that there wasn't enough. Hypothermia, hypoglycemia. Hypothermia is what you get if you're left out of the cold too long, right? And so thermia, we know therm means temperature, so it's an temperature under what it should be. And so the picture I put there is of a dog underneath the table. Prefix in, im, not, like impossible, incredulous. We know cred has to do with belief. In meanings not. So if it's incredulous, you would not believe it. Impossible, we know possible means you can do it. So impossible means like there's no way I could do that. So I used another circle with a line through it. Inter, meaning between, among, across, like international, interstate, intersection. And so I put a bunch of like people near each other, they're amongst each other. There's a little girl sitting in amongst a bunch of cats. And then there's intra, within or inside. So inter and intra are kind of like hypo and hyper, where they're opposites of each other, or they contradict one another. So like I said before, inter is between or amongst something, whereas intra is within or inside. So intrastate, intravenous, introvert. So I put a picture with an arrow going inside the box. Think of it this way. So interstate, E-I-N-T-E-R, interstate. You've probably heard that referred to like different roads, like an interstate. So I-90, that takes you between states, right? Whereas like intra-state would be like a road that only stays in Illinois. So hopefully that helps you with the contradictory parts between those two. That would be something to really study and make sure you know the difference, because that's where those are the prefixes that could really trip you up. My example for today. So which set of words all have a prefix with the same meaning? Answer choice A, contact, tactile, intact. Answer choice B, biannual, binoculars, dilemma, dichromatic. Answer choice C, verify, veracious, veracity. Or D, specimen, aspect, spectator, retrospect. So the question says prefix specifically. So we don't want to be tripped up by answer choices that have an affix in common, like a suffix or a root word that we know. It's asking very specifically, sorry guys, for a prefix. So when you look at A, contact, tactile, intact, tentative, the first three words have tact. The last one doesn't, but tact is a root word, if you remember, not a prefix. So A is not correct because they don't all have the same, first of all, the affixes, they don't all have it the same, and it isn't a prefix. So it's not answer choice A. Biannual, binoculars, dilemma, dichromatic. So we have binoculars and biannual, which have bi, bi, dilemma and dichromatic, which is di for the prefix. Now, if we go back to our notes, bi and di Die, we talked about, has multiple meanings, meaning apart, or it could also mean two, where bi means two. So this might be our answer since they're all prefixes that mean two, but we need to check, okay? Verify, veracious, veracity. That's C. They all have ver. Don't be tricked. ver is a root word, not a prefix. Even though it's at the beginning of the word right now, it is a root word that those words would not exist without. You couldn't just have veracious. No, that's a suffix that's attached to that root word of ver. Same way you couldn't just have if-I. It's attached to ver to mean verify. And this is why the warm-up continuously asks you what affixes are, because I want you to remember that they're building blocks and that you can't have a word without a root word, and suffixes and prefixes just add on to that. So it cannot be C. They all do have the affix and a root in common, but it's not a prefix like the question asked for, so it's not C. We then have specimen, aspect, spectator, retrospect. They all have SPEC in common, spect, which is another root word. And so this is written to be very tricky with you. It's asking specifically for a prefix, and this is where why I suggested and asked that you set up a notebook if you could, because if you didn't, now you're gonna have to look back at the past classworks at times, I think. So if you didn't, now would be a great time to make sure you have that notebook set up, because spec is a root word, and although they all have it in common, it's a root word. The question asks us for a prefix, so we can eliminate D. So we eliminated A, C, and D, and we originally did think B might be the answer, and since we were able to eliminate the other answers, B is our best answer. Go ahead and make sure you answer that one correctly, because it is a required question. It won't let you submit your form without it, and then you can go on to finish the vocabulary practice and then hit next, and it will take you into reading skills. Practice your reading skills with a short 2-paragraph, and the second paragraph is 1 line, story, and then your Lexia minutes as normal. Again, I know this might feel a little weird because we're switching into Google Forms. Although you've seen them, you maybe not have seen them this way, but I do think, like I said, it'll be best for you in the long run. We're going to try it out this week, and I'll give you an opinion survey at the end of the week, see what you think for next week, okay? Have a great day, guys. Finish it up, hit submit. Remember, it does not save your progress, so you have to finish it all in one go. If you are pausing and coming back, I might suggest that you write down your answer choices. That way you don't lose them until you hit submit. Have a great day. Talk to you later.